On Friday, I asked you for signings and some experience to go with them. So for you that came back to me, this is your show, okay? Some of you had strong ideas. Some of them, I'm not going to lie, don't really fix anything, but I get where you're coming from. So tonight, whether you're in the live with me or watching this after, we're building a Manchester United summer properly, okay? From, like as always, the footballing point of view. I'll go through the kind of decisions you've been putting forward, and I'll tell you what works, what doesn't, and why I think that. There's no right or wrong answers. It's just sometimes when it might work in your head or someone else's head. But then when you talk about it, you think, oh, yeah, maybe I didn't think about that, and that won't quite go together. So I'll go through those kind of decisions you've been putting forward, and I'll tell you, like I say, what works, what doesn't. So if you're tired of hearing the same sort of recycled takes everywhere else, hit the subscribe button here, because this channel is different. Now let's get on with this show, okay? This could be a fun show. This could be a weird show tonight. Straight away, like I said, this is a show about you guys. This is, if you're here with me Friday and you're watching, I asked at the end of the show for people to come back in the comments, whether it be on X, TikTok, or obviously live on YouTube, and just give me a player. You can give me up to 3, 1 defender, 1 midfielder, 1 attacker, but I want some experience to go with them. So if you were to say player A, who we've all heard of, give me someone who's going to come in and help them adapt to the pressures at Man United. A lot of the shorts and that I put out this week, people are looking at as I meant for, we want one big name player. Oh, United always go after the biggest name players. Yes, but we also talk about the pressure that this shirt has, yeah? And when you step inside of Carrington, inside of Old Trafford, the extra weight that has. You don't hear someone who hasn't played for the club talk about that extra weight. So sometimes the mentality is more important than the talent, because, if hard work isn't there, what's the saying? I think it's from Rocky. When talent doesn't work hard, hard work beats talent. And it's a fact of life. It is a fact of all sports. And you can take that pretty much with you anywhere. But I'm going to go through about 15 different players that everyone gave me. Not many gave me the experience. And I get that. I really do get that. And that's what the caveat to asking the question was, because I knew it was a hard question. But I'm going to go through players who, I'm not going to lie, some of you, I think you've been reading too many magazines, because some of these names that have come up, I had to literally go out and do my own little personal scouting report about them. And then some of the players who are on their way out. Okay. I also want to touch on the free transfer market, because if you're going to build, you're stupid not to bring in 1 or 2 free transfers if they work. The Eriksen free transfer was genius. Experience, didn't cost us anything bar wages, but he could help. And he's gone, and we need to bring that back. We need about 4 or 5 experienced heads. By losing Casemiro in the summer, we are losing experience. As well as a quality midfielder, we're losing experience. So even while the show's going on, if you've got players that you think should come in, put them in the chat. Get in here now, put them in the live chat, and we'll still go over them. Give me your reason, though. That's what I'm going to ask, right? Let's be fair. The main names that everyone was chucking down to start with were... Let's have a look. We had Elliot Anderson, obviously. Your Whartons, Balebas, Gomes. But then there was some Ndiaye, Nathaniel Brown, Skelly. Obviously, Tonali was in there. I even saw a Victor Osimhen, and I rated that. I've got to be honest, I quite like that. So they're the sort of players we're going to be looking at. And then obviously we're going to talk about money coming in to get these transfers. So Rashford, Onana, Højlund, which is a done deal. Zirkzee, Ugarte, Casemiro, unfortunately we won't get anything for. I doubt, unless United have done some kind of deal with whoever his next club is. The lesser spoken about Sancho, and obviously Tyrell and Malacia. Now, sort of, I wanted to start with the obvious, okay? The ones which I'm fed up of seeing them on every channel. It's just like everyone's going, right, I'm talking about him today. You do a video about someone else, because it's about the same 4 or 5 names. And I've got to be honest, I'm fed up of hearing them. I don't think there's anything in them. And I think a lot of them are smoke screens looking for new deals and looking for the best deal. So when you got a player like Casemiro leaving, all of these players are midfielders that are strongly linked. It's not the only place we need transfers. So let's start, weirdly, with the free transfers, because I want you to keep them in the back of your head throughout this video. Whether, like I say, watching it live and you're giving me something now, or you're coming back and you give me something in the comments. And I need your comments, guys. I need them, because United Lens is a fan channel, okay? That's not we're United fan channel. I want your takes. I want to have a conversation with you. I want, when Bilal came and told me who his players were, or Danny, or Sean, all these people telling me who they would want in different videos, I want that to be you as well. So get in this live chat. I know there's a lot of channels out there where you put something in the chat and you just feel you don't get read out. And I'm not going to lie, that might happen. Depends what you put in, but I try my hardest. And if you structure your comment as best you can, I will come back to it. And if I miss it, call me out in the chat. And if English isn't your main language, put it in your national language, and I will translate it. You know, I will help you be involved in my channel, okay? Because it's all about both of us, give and take, okay? Tonight, we've got Grace here. Evening, Grace. And we've got Bilal and Rogers. Baleba and Rogers. I like that. So, straight away, see, guys, they're straight in there giving me stuff. Grace, it's good to have you in the chat. You know, we're not going to be talking about Dallo tonight or anyone like that, so that's going to be good. But, you know, please, Sean's here as well. Happy Easter, Sean. Do you know what? It's bad. Happy Easter, everyone. If you're in the UK enjoying this 4-day bank holiday, you know, and you don't have work tomorrow, great. But, you know, everywhere, happy Easter. And I hope you had a great time with your family, because I know I certainly have, with the family that I had available today. So thank you, Sean, for reminding me. But yes, get your players in this chat. It's really, really important tonight. I'm going to start with the free transfers from the Premier League. Now, there's some names in there, and no, I don't expect us to sign them. Okay, but you need them in the back of your head about how we're talking about bringing in experience. So the first ones, I will get them out the way. The first 4, obviously, I don't think we're going to get. And if they've signed new contracts and I've missed it, I apologise in advance. Ibrahim Konate, Liverpool. Andy Robertson, Liverpool. Bernardo Silva at City. And John Stones at City. Do I think we could bring them in? It's happened. It has happened. We've bought players from Liverpool in the past. We've lost players to City in the past. Tevez, we won't speak about the Tevez, but, you know. And obviously, my hero, Peter Schmeichel. But even those names are going free. But let's look at some of the others that aren't United. Obviously, Gahey moved already. So, although I had him on my free list, and I obviously forgot to take him off. We had Diamachi Commander from Palace. or Commande, however you say it. I actually think that's not a bad shout. Harry Wilson and Raul Jimenez. Okay, so they're ones there. Ross Barkley, do you know what? He's a talented footballer for young players to wasted talent, but he's a talented footballer. Danny Welbeck, could he come back? I do know he's in talks with Brighton about extending his deal, probably looking for 2 years, a bit like the Salah deal, looking for 2, but they only want to give 1. For me, the must-have out of these, so like I say, keep him in the back of your head as we go through ins and outs, Sessi. Sessi at Bournemouth, I feel, is a must-go and get. I feel our defence centre-backs are weak. If you've been watching previous shows, I just feel it's something we can touch on. And for that reason, Veltman at Brighton as well. Left-backs, Mikalenko from Everton. What about Michael Keane? It's a weird one. Why not? Come back, finish your career off here. Idrissa Gueye from Everton as well. Obviously not Coleman. If anyone says Coleman to me, I will laugh. Coleman must be ready to draw his pension. He is an Evertonian legend and he's not leaving that club. And then there's a few weird and wonderfuls. You got Briam, Darlow from Leeds. Fabian Schär, again, not that bad a shout. Kieran Trippier, couldn't do worse than certain right backs. I just said I wasn't going to criticise Dallow. Oh well. Obviously, Heaton's leaving us, and maybe there's a goalkeeper out there, or do we bring back Vitek? And then Nathaniel Klein. So there's some experience there in these free transfers, which could be very worth its weight in gold, if I'm honest. Ericsson was worth his weight in gold for the right reasons, and it just didn't pan out, for we didn't get the players, and he had to play too many games. Grace has come straight back. Trippier is crap. He might be crap, but I'm talking about having experience. But it's getting experience for low wages. But I do agree. I wouldn't imagine Trippier to come in. Let's just have a quick look at why I read those out, what the chat was saying, because it was moving a bit quicker than I anticipated. Bilal says we should go for Welbeck. Sean, and whatever Sean says, I take with care, because this guy scouts pretty much. If you're a professional footballer, you've probably been scouted by this guy. Sasha Lukic and Van Heck entering the final years of their contract. Would have Van Heck in a heartbeat. Totally agree. Harry Wilson on a free could cover the left wing. Agree. And give us more funds for priority positions. And that's, Sean, that is what I want people to keep in their back of their head, is sometimes the smartest move is to spend no money. Yeah, it's a bit like the whole Messi thing. Standing still can sometimes create you the most space. If we can get someone in on a free that might not be perfect, but we've only got to pay their wage a little bit higher than anticipated, and we can negotiate, when rebuilding, that is the way forward. But Sean has said Welbeck signed a new contract. I knew he was in negotiations. Thank you for pointing that one out. And Senesi to Juventus, he thinks. But Sean, do you not feel we have to put a bid in for Senesi? The difference is, I know Juventus can sign a pre-contract agreement with him because they're outside of England, and we can't. But I think we should be putting something on the table for him. Bilal says Coleman. If Coleman turned up here, I'd probably just wet my pants laughing. But experience, you can't fault it. Idrissa Gueye is a bit too old for him as well. I know, but the free transfers is the experience. Trippier's been dining off that free kick for England for like 5 years, more like 8. Do you think Fredriksson's good enough? I think Fredriksson will be out on loan at a Div 1 or Championship team next season. So I will rest my opinion on that. If he does not go on loan, his career is done at Man United. That's my personal opinion. Surprise, surprise, City got the Saints in the cup. Yeah, absolutely. I like Senesi, but the problem is we can't be stuck with all these centre-backs on big wages. That is a problem, and that's why you got to... But I feel we have to negotiate. I feel we have to ask. And Sean's in agreement with me. Fredriksson needs a loan. Right. Great start, guys. Great start. So they're the freebies in the back of our head. Okay. Now let's tick off some of these. Like I said, I've just counted. It is 15 different players people chucked me. Sean, I'm so happy you're here because you could really help with this video tonight with some takes on some of these players I have not heard of, like Sedi Kintar, Samuel Dahl, Christoph Mukanitis, Beladi, Bouaddi. Some of these are some weird names that people put forward. So I had to scout them, and then I find out they were linked through Sky Sports. So sometimes, guys, I need your opinion. I don't need Sky Sports' opinion because I lost my time lost my patience with them a long time ago. But there's a reason that probably the only thing I totally agree with Mark Goldbridge is slow sports news. Notice the delay there. I tried a bit of a comedy effect. Didn't really happen, did it? But yes, Sky Sports, slow sports, it doesn't work for us. Guys, you just keep going. Evening, Danny, good to see you in the chat as well. Keep going, guys, in the chat about those players. I'm really liking that. I will come back to you. So I'm going to start with, obviously, Anderson. You know, I'm going to fly through a few of these, which Anderson just makes the biggest sense, I think, on paper. Do I think we'll get him? I think it's a 2 out of 10. I believe that there will be more suitors for Anderson, depending how he performs in the World Cup. Naturally, being English, I hope he performs really well. And I believe most of the players that are linked to a World Cup team currently and could go, they will drag it out and it'll be a deal after the World Cup. So this is all I'm going to look at some of these. Elliot Anderson is one of the most interesting links because this is not just about talent. It's about fit, you know, in my eyes. If United want an actual number 8 who can carry the ball forward, work off the ball and bring energy into the midfield, he's your man, right? You can see why his name keeps coming up. If he feels like the kind of signing that changes the balance of the team, not the headline of the team, because we all know that's Bruno and Mbeumo, Cunha. But for me, this is less luxury and more logic. Okay. Do I think we'll get him? Like I say, it's like a 2 out of 10 for me currently. Elliot Anderson is the Michael Carrick of the past. He is that English midfielder we go and buy. Okay. And I've just seen Sean's put it in there. And I was literally just about to say, it's taking words out of my mouth. He is future captain material. If he keeps on the trajectory he's going. The only concern I have is I don't rate international football. So what he does in the England shirt doesn't really come into my head. He's done some great stuff against good opposition for Nottingham Forest. But he is Nottingham Forest. Do you think he is the Roy Keane? We go out, we take Roy Keane and he comes in and leaves Man United for 10 years, right? Anderson could be that guy. So like I say, I give him about a 2 out of 10. But I'm not sure. Grace just said I would put Mazraoui into midfield and get more attacking right back to be Dalot's boot cleaner. About 70% of that sentence, Grace, I can agree. Mazraoui, I love Mazraoui because he is the kind of player I think United need to keep getting. Is he capable of doing it at the highest level? I like to think so, but there's got to be a reason he never really broke into the team at Munich. I'm thinking it was mainly his pace because obviously when you've got left and right absolute rockets, he was never going to get in. And the German league is played like that. Dalot's boot cleaner, we agree to disagree on that one. Okay. So with Anderson, the next one's Wharton. Sean, I know you did a great breakdown with Wharton last week. Wharton is a different type of midfielder. link, because this is more about the control and intelligence and power. He looks like a player who can help the team breathe, okay? And that's what we really lack. I call it keeping the team ticking, but anyone who can control that tempo. Wharton has shown me signs of that, and he does it in a really hard-working Crystal Palace team, okay? He's able to settle the game down, break lines, but also take the sting out of the game. Plays on the half turn constantly, scanning constantly. Sean, I noticed you called it out, and I'm going to do it now. The guy never stops scanning. He even warms up scanning. And I can't, from my coaching side, I can't explain how important that is. Constantly getting your head on the swivel before you've even started the game is just next level thinking. Wharton Anderson sounds like a dream pairing. Okay. Now, this is what this show's about. I give you Wharton and Anderson. I will go spend 200 million for you right now and buy you Wharton and Anderson. What grief are you giving me about Kobbie Mainoo not playing? Don't give me grief that he hasn't played when Bruno was playing in the 8 and Casemiro was playing, and we go buy 2 midfielders. And I don't mean you're physically giving me grief. Let's have a conversation. Wharton comes in. Wharton and Kobbie Mainoo have played together at under 21s level and below. Okay, very, very good. Very, very good. Very good wavelength. The linking of the play. But the number one target is Anderson. Anderson is more of the 8. Wharton will do more of the holding, and it'll be a double pivot. It won't be a 6, 8, 10. You know, I call it the semi-triangle, right? Because it's never a flat triangle in midfield. But it'll be a double pivot. It won't be a single pivot 6 if you have those two. And do we need to buy Wharton if we have Kobbie Mainoo? Just saying. Will those 2 players help us progress? Yes, all 3 of those players would help us progress. But not without a strong, experienced midfielder who's either on the bench to see out games and there day in, day out for training. Because by losing Casemiro, you can bring those players in, but I need someone from a coaching point of view, and I don't think anyone with a coaching badge will disagree, they need to have someone lead them. You know, make the right and wrong choices, because they're gonna mess up. Are they going to be able to play Champions League football week in, week out? Because that's where we're going to be next season. We all know that. We're seeing that from the trees. We've got every chance. So that's my first question to you guys, okay? Out of all of these transfers, and we're going to do about an hour on this, guys. So it will be a long show tonight, but it'll be a great show, and it's already turning into one because the chat is going on these. Let's have a look. That's right, Grace. Who's better than Dallo? Nobody. Wharton is all about finding the early progressive balls. Yes, Sean, but that early progressive ball is only really into Bruno the way we currently set up, especially if Dorgu plays left wing. If Cunha plays left wing, maybe we have two progressive passes. But we are very predictable in our progressive passes. He can clip a ball over the top, I am aware. But so can a few of our other players. Grace says free Mainoo. We need to raise the floor of the squad. Depth will be needed if we're going to complete on 4 fronts. Rotation isn't a bad thing. Kobbie would still get 20 matches minimum. I totally agree. But Grace says she wants Bruno G. Funny enough, he's not on the list. I think a few people have forgotten about him because there have been so many names. But I'm going to include him because he's on my list. We need 2 to 3 midfielders with legs. We do. And legs, I feel, is the most important thing in the Premier League right now. It doesn't matter what position you play. Even if you like as a goalkeeper, you need to be fast. You need to be out fast, sweeping and clearing the ball. But the game has got too quick, almost. And we're seeing the injuries for this reason. The hamstrings, the calves, the thighs, and obviously ACLs. So there's been a raise in ACLs over the last 5 to 6 years, injuries. And this is because how fast we're now running and getting into every tackle. And because we don't make a sliding tackle and take someone's legs out, that hard braking is taking its tolls on people's legs. Now, pace and power is one thing. I don't feel Wharton, Anderson, Mainoo necessarily have the pace. I feel they have the power. I don't think they're weak. Mainoo scares the hell out of me with his pace. I said on Friday night show, there was clips going round. Obviously, for those who saw the game, he's getting run past in the England team and he gets run past in the Man United team. It looks like he's running mud. And do you know what? I accept it because that's his flaw. No player is great at everything. So that one is a combination there for those three. I want to move on to, well, because Grace has put it in there about Bruno G. I haven't got Bruno G down here from you guys, and I was very surprised. But I really love Bruno. I have to call him Bruno G because I cannot pronounce his surname because I just want to say guacamole, and I'm sorry. There's just been too many jokes about his name at work and things like that, so it's stuck in my head. Bruno G, Tonali is probably, in my eyes, probably the best combination in the Premier League. Some may say Subamendi Rice, some may say a Man City combination, but that's certainly not been set in stone for all this season. But a Rodri and a Silva, maybe you could have a case for. But Bruno G would be your 8. Again, great power, pace, gets into the box, plenty of fight, doesn't give anything up. Exactly what we need. Okay. And then you bring in Tonali. Tonali is one of those names where the reaction is obvious. Okay. But that sounds big, that sounds serious, that sounds like a statement signing. And in terms of quality, range, and presence in the midfield, he pretty much is like tick, 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 right? Same as Anderson. So that I'm going to put these two against Anderson. Can he replace Casemiro? Yep. He's probably not as prime Casemiro, probably not. But Casemiro we have now, it's an easy replacement. Tonali, Casemiro, it's an easily done job. He looks like someone who can raise the level technically and tactically in the team. But this is where United fans have to sort of separate what sounds exciting from what feels realistic, in my opinion. And that's not me having a dig at you guys, but strong player, serious name, but definitely not the simplest deal on the list, right? Okay, Italy haven't qualified for the World Cup. Funny how they can win the Euros and cannot qualify for the World Cup now in 12 years. But Tonali, for me, is 80 million. They're going to want 80 to 100 million. Maybe his agent is currently trying to drive that down so they can get a deal out of the club by touting him around to Arsenal, us, and everyone else. But then on the flip side of that, are we just being linked with him and having that? You've got to go have that conversation. This is one thing I've been talking about, isn't it, over the last shows? Shoot your shot. You've got to go out and try. Tonali, for me, seems more of a dream than Anderson. I don't know how you guys feel about that. And as Grace has just asked a question, I will just bear with me 2 seconds, Grace. Tonali and Bruno G would be, I feel, the perfect kind of combination to go behind Bruno Fernandes. I feel that it would work in front of Martinez, but only Martinez. I don't think necessarily De Ligt, Maguire, Euro, Heaven, not necessarily links up with them well enough. Gut feeling, just from personalities, what I see on the pitch and their sort of style, but it would give us a lot more bite. we barely have any bark, let alone bite in our team. I think that would give it to us. We've got Cunha now. He's got a bit of bite and bark. Sesko, I wouldn't want to upset. So maybe it's coming back, but for future, maybe that's not perfect. Grace, question: would you keep Ugarte for one more season? Still signs two midfielders though. No, I would not. I would not, because I can see the logic in keeping him, but you have got Carrick, Fletcher, Amorim, and really Ten Hag. None of them really trusted him. So whatever we bought, he's not shown it. He's still an international starter for Uruguay, but he was horrendous against England. I can understand keeping him, international player, but also, could we get 30 million for him? So that's going to come on to the outgoings later on, I think. Yes, Sean, that's a prime example. Pre-season will show us if any of the youngsters are ready for the spot on the bench next season. And that's one of the things which needs to come up. There's only probably two midfielders I feel are ready. The rest I would rather see out on loan. I know you watch as much of the youth football as me, but I think the twins need to go out on loan. I think Freites needs to play consistently in the 21s and sit on the bench. And then we're talking wide midfielders. That's sort of how I see our midfield. I can't think what his name is. I keep going to say McShane. It's obviously not McShane anymore. Maybe him as well sit on the bench. And they're both there, and they should. But I feel youngsters should be asking for loan deals. If they're in the 21s now, right now, this season, get out on loan or find a permanent deal, because the sooner you're getting close to 21, the sooner you're not playing for Man United, because it's too late. Okay, 18, 19 maximum. Otherwise, look for a loan. Morehouse. It's Morehouse, I was thinking. Kone's a weird one, Grace. I've struggled to keep an eye on him. I'm not going to lie. Devaney is looking really good at St Mirren. He is looking good at St Mirren. So now come down and play in the Championship. That's what I say to you there, Sean. He's got to come down, play in the Championship, do an Ahmad, even if it's low level. He's done it up there. Come down. Morehouse and Kone. Morehouse potentially sit on the bench, maybe Championship League 2. I don't know why we don't send some of them down to the old class of 92 and get them playing there, or get minutes down there. I don't know. This is what I mean. Sean's just said Kone's not getting any minutes, and there was rumours that he went in there one hell of an attitude. Okay, well, let's just leave that there for a minute, because that is something we might need to come back to. Some of the other players we've been linked to, João Gomes. João Gomes feels like one of the more understandable links, because you can instantly see the need that he feels, right? He brings aggression, legs, intensity, everything we want, and he's cheap, right? He's coming from Wolves. That willingness to compete in duels that United have lacked in too many games this season, like I've just spoken about, we need to bring a bit more bite and fight to the team. But he's not a glamorous name, and I'm okay with that. Jason Park wasn't a glamorous name, and he's one of the greatest players Man United ever signed. In my opinion, as an actual transfer, Jason Park is probably one of the top 5 transfers Man United ever made in the Premier League. So it worked out for him. But do you really think if we're going Champions League, we can afford to take another player from a relegation fodder team? And I've got to be careful how I say that, because there's a few players I'd take from Spurs. Okay. But that's more circumstances rather than down there every year fighting. So that's João Gomes. It makes a lot of sense. Ndiaye is another one I've got on my list that people put there. intriguing link because he brings something different. I get that. He's lively, unpredictable. What can I say? Technically sharp and can create problems, in tight areas, which we need. If anyone saw what he did the other week and then had a little shout into the camera about still being a champion, absolutely tickled me. I love that kind of thing. But United have often looked too easy to read in the attack, and a player like this could add a bit of chaos, a bit like Cunha does. Where Mbeumo and Amad are very predictable, Cunha isn't. So Ndiaye would give us another one, but predominantly plays in the same position. So the concerns for me would be whether the level raising would be a way too high a step up for him. Physically strong, mentally strong, stylistically unpredictable. What else can I say? But I can see why someone put him up as a conversation. But left wing, again, wingers, they've only got Mbeumo and Cunha really to look up to at our club currently. And I don't want to shut the door for left or right wingers to some of our high-performing youngsters. Obviously, they've got to step up and show they need to take that place. And there is definitely 2 or 3 youngsters, 2 on the left, 1 on the right. I will come into them later, who have a very good chance. Okay. And then another random, well, not random name, but do you generally think we're getting Yang Diamonde? Yes, please. Yes, I would take Diamonde. Those for links that tell you United might be thinking about this profile before it just seems like one of those pipe dreams, like linking us to Lamine Yamal. Do you know what I mean? Superb player. He's not the huge superstar name everyone shouts for, but I think he has got something special in him. But he's the kind of winger link that suggests they want pace, directness, and someone who can actually attack defenders, right? Can we go past them and get the final ball in the box? Because I've been screaming about that. And Amad does my head in. And Mbeumo to a degree, they turn back and swing it in with their left. Diamonde, I think, can go both ways, can put it in with both feet. So for me, perfect kind of player. Do we have the funds? Probably not really to go after him this year. And we will run the risk of missing out on him. I know, but again, like I say, we have some good wingers coming. And I've saved what I feel is the best 2 till last, okay? Out of this list that people gave me, there's 2 names left on it. And I'll come back to them once we caught up with the chat, because, again, you've been going. The Swiss loan deal is weird. Should have sent him to the Championship. Totally agree. I think they wanted to try Grace to see if it would work out, but Kone wasn't the right kind of player to send there to Switzerland. I would have thought you were better off sending, I don't know, the Fletchers, Obi. Definitely Obi, because he's Danish and the lifestyle won't be too different out that way, and he's more used to his Danish compatriots now, so that kind of thing would have made sense. But they obviously needed a midfielder, and that's why he went. I can't think of any other reason. Instead of playing football this week, we're going golfing in Ireland. Yeah. Don't even get me started. There will be words about that before we get into any preview videos next week. So join me for that. We need a left wing who actually put a ball in the box. I've already said it. Couldn't have said it better, Sean. Beating a player and getting the ball in the box early means a striker can make his run and knows where he can go. Could we bring players in on loan for squad depth? Sabitzer? Absolutely. But the loan market's changed massively, Grace. In the last 5 years, you don't really get a loan and send back. We're the only idiots who've messed up a loan to buy deal, for God's sake. pay 5 million to send him back. What anyone was thinking there? Maybe they missed the zero off, and it should have been 50 million when they sent Sancho back from Chelsea. But most loans now are loan to buy, loan with option to buy, or you have to buy. So the loan market isn't the kind of market that it used to be. I wish it was. There's a few players I think we could get out there and get in. But remember, loaning at the start of the season is really hard because every player thinks they're going to get a fair crack. Loaning in January, totally different story. Some of them crosses from Diouf today were lethal. Yes, Diouf, left back, West Ham. Not on the list again. Highly rate him as a left back potential for United. That's why we wanted Semenyo. Absolutely was. Carlton's house looks nice, but we should have played some friendlies. Like I say, I'm going to talk about that sort of stuff Tuesday. I see it from both sides, and I think Carrick's playing a dangerous game, and I hope it pays off. Lucene have tried to play Kone on the left wing, which is ridiculous, right? Because he's a tall, marauding, box-to-box number 8. I can't ever... Maybe he's got some tricks and they think he's a tricky winger. I don't know, but, he's for me, he has potential to go towards a Vieira kind of style player if he bulks out and really steps up his game. We have a striker on loan already at Lucerne. No, but Danny, I'm just saying Obi would have made sense, being the whole Danish thing, being around the Scandinavian clubs. So, so now says who? Right. Oh, no, I'll get my answer right away. Got my next Loan Watch show prepped, Danny. Yeah. And it's Biak. I probably just butchered his name, but I butcher many a name. Not great with these foreign names. So getting back to my last two on the list, guys. Because let's be fair, this show, like I said, is about you in this chat as much as anyone else, okay? So if you're not in the chat, guys, if you've not given the video a thumbs up, get on over there. Get it done. If you don't feel comfortable enough to talk, these guys, they're not going to call you out. It's your opinion, and your opinion matters here, okay? So just have your say. Even if it's... I'm not going to lie. After hearing the story about us signing a certain left-back because of FIFA, even if it's someone you rate on Football Manager, FIFA, or whatever like that, FC26, great. And there you go. Sean just said share it too. I love it if you guys feel comfortable enough to share my videos. That would be amazing. It's just one of those things. Just living the dream right now. Sean, I always forget to share. Like, thumbs up, subscribe, turn the notifications on. I still feel stupid saying it. So, guys, Carlos Baleba. Who's fed up of hearing that name? Because I am. Carlos Baleba is that signing that is like, it feels, there's always a player. There's always a player who doesn't go away like a bad smell, constantly linked to Manchester United. And Baleba seems to be the latest one, Carlos Baleba has had what only I can call a horrific season at Brighton. Did we cause that? Maybe. Brighton could be just as bad by not letting him go. By outpricing him. A player wants to go and you don't want to drop the price tag. I get it. It's business. But Carlos Baleba feels like one of those signings that would tell United are finally thinking about the midfield properly. Powerful, athletic, aggressive, covers ground, and sort of gives you that intensity that we've been missing too often, right? Yeah, in 2025. In 24-25 system, that's the Baleba I'm describing, okay? This year, his passing's everywhere. He's erratic. He's just so off the pace. I generally don't think we can afford to gamble on Baleba. Now, it's a 50-50, right? One good, one bad season. And there's a lot of things that could have caused this bad season. But if Brighton want 80 to 110 million, that I'm hearing, they still want over 100 million, but maybe we can get it down to 80. You can't go for Baleba. You can't. Like we said, a Wharton, an Anderson, a Tonali, a Bruno G, they're in that category of the prices. It just doesn't make sense to me personally. Okay, it's the amount of. Sean's just put something here. What's this? Sean's just put up. Baleba has about 1,000 less minutes than anyone this season. Constantly the first sub. Yeah, but the Baleba of 24-25 season, Sean, we hands down we go for him, right? But the Baleba of 25-26 season, you can't make that gamble. There's just too many names. Really, he's the same sort of gamble this season as going for a João Gomes or I don't know, one of the older kind of midfielders who might not be able to last the games. It's for me, it makes sense up here, but down here when I'm signing a check, I can't do it. So when you keep hearing his name linked, you've got to look at that. Look at his stats from 24-25. Look at his stats from 25-26. And, you might as well just move the sun to the moon because it is night and day. And right now, there's this. Sean is right. He's just put it's a buyer's market for centre mids this summer because everyone wants them. So there was one other name left. Okay, I'm just having a quick look see if anyone else has anything about Baleba. No, there we go. So that's good. This one I really like. I really like it. But again, we're either going to do a complete smash and grab ram raid or we're in dream world. The name is Lewis Hall. Lewis Hall could be the perfect replacement for Luke Shaw. He really could. There's not much I can say about Lewis Hall, okay, that hasn't already been said. I'm going to try my best. Really interesting one because he gives you more than just a left back in my eyes. Look at the Lewis Hall we had. Look at the shots he's hit, everything he does. Can he get the ball in? Yes. Can he have a shot? Yes. Can he get up and down the line? Yes. I'm just going to be saying a lot of yeses. So, athleticism, technical quality, yes, from what I've seen so far. A player comfortable enough to contribute higher up the pitch as well, which we are screaming out for. Right at the start of this show, Gray said about that on the right-hand side. Lewis Hall would give us that on the left. Which means that if we play Cunha on the left, we have the good cover. Luke Shaw is unable to get up and down and cover Cunha these days. Lewis Hall would really, really do that. If United want a more balance on the left, he fits that conversation. The question would be realism, okay? In terms of profile, age, modern fullback qualities, bang, 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 bang. I'm ticking those boxes again, aren't I? You can actually understand why his name's being mentioned. But we're mentioning with Tonali, Bruno G, Lewis Hall. Sorry, Newcastle. Can we have Eddie Howe to come sit on the bench as well with Michael Carrick? Do you know what I mean? It's like if we go for Lewis Hall, forget Tonali and Bruno G. Because they're going to need to potentially sell players because they're not going to be a Champions League team. But they can't sell everyone. And I feel it's only going to be one big sale. But Lewis Hall, for me, is probably out of all the names I've said that, and I know we need a central midfielder, but I think we have to go Anderson and Lewis Hall. Target 1, target 2, whichever way round you want to do it. you've got to go and put those as your first 2 bids, and you've got to go and get them. Because I just think they solidify the defence. I think Anderson helps with Mainoo and creates that link. Don't forget, we're keeping Maguire, so there's a trifecta there. If we keep Maguire in the team with the link through the English players there. Left back, English, great, because he's not going anywhere out of that England team. So, and then also any other players coming through for potentially can get there. It just makes sense, okay? Sean's just said it's starting to feel like a free signing summer, and I totally agree. But where are you at on Lewis, Hall and Anderson as first and second choice signings? I don't care which way you put it, guys, but please get in the chat and do that. So that's how I see us spending our money straight off on those 2 players. So now we need to raise more funds, okay? And more funds is going to be not as hard as it has been in the past, okay? Rasmus Højlund, done deal. Okay, I think it's 44 million euros, might be pounds, but we're getting on top of all the loan fees and everything else we've had from Napoli. I believe he's hit everything to make that deal go through. Problem with that is I wanted Højlund to stay. So I'm just going to say it now. I want Rasmus Højlund to come back and being alongside Sesko. I just feel they would get on well. I just feel it could work. That's me, totally me. I feel that, well, at least one person in the chat might agree with me. So, but I just think Rasmus Højlund coming back into a performing Manchester United team that is creating chances with Sesko, with Rasmus, Cunha, Bruno, he'll get more chances and it'll be more like the Napoli team, maybe. Even Boxing, nice of you to join us. Thank you for coming over. Any transfers that you feel that you would like us to get? We've just spoken for I feel Anderson and Lewis Hall should be our number 1 and 2. Get them in, okay? Sean, I didn't want to mention your name, but I knew you'd be the one who sort of agrees with me. Højlund would do well in this system. Yes, he bloody would. It's about getting into the box now and not linking play, and it would make a massive difference. Joshua Zirkzee, or as I like to call him, Mr. I don't have a real position. I love Zirkzee. I love his first touch. I love everything about him as a talented footballer. But I'm not going to lie, when a footballer does not know what he is and calls himself a 9.5, which is a position that does not exist, a 9.5 is actually called a number 10. Because you're not a striker, you like to drop off. You're Teddy Sheringham, okay? But Zirkzee for me, 20 million, get him out the door. I'm happy with 20 million, get him gone. Can we find someone for him? Probably not. And most of these I'm going to talk about, the answer is probably not. That's the problem about us. And this is Man United's problem for almost 30 years. We very rarely sell players on, okay? Most want to finish their careers at Manchester United. And who wouldn't, okay? You get the big money and you're with one of the biggest teams in the world. Ugarte, 30 million. Happy with 30 million to get him out the door. I feel with Mainoo now staking first team, and we're talking about at least one midfielder coming in and one youngster coming through. We do need more midfielders, but I feel Ugarte brings in money to get that second or third signing, but second midfielder. So I think Ugarte out, bring in the money, and that's how you get the next one across the line. Jadon Sancho. Your guess is as good as mine. The latter part of Villa's season and in Europe, and he did well in Europe, although it be it Conference League for Chelsea. The guy's got talent. I'm hoping he's sorted his life out and he's fallen off the rails. And I think we've all seen that now, just how bad it was, whether it was lovesick, whatever you want to call it, with that American female rapper or whatever she was. I think Sancho, I'd just take whatever anyone would offer. I really would. If they just offered enough to pay off the rest of his contract, I'd take it. Obviously, Casemiro's going to be gone. It would have been nice if we could have done some kind of 1 year extension and sold him to Inter Miami. But if the Inter Miami deal happens, which right now I'm not 100% sure, so I'm going to ask Sean a question here, being American. How does Casemiro get in the Inter Miami team when we have the City midfielder from Barcelona, whose name's popped right out of my head? Not Busquets. Busquets. Yeah, it's Busquets, isn't it, that's playing there? How would he fit in? Is Busquets not renewing? Is he retiring and Casemiro replacing? Otherwise, I don't see how that works. But I wish him all the best, okay? Andre Onana. Was anyone stupid enough to buy this goalkeeper? I really don't think they are. His highlight reel for his loan it's like watching, I don't know, all 7 Scream films. It's more scarier than that. What has Onana done to be able to get a transfer? I can't see us getting rid of him. I want to get rid of him. I want to drive him to the airport. Again, I'll take anything for him. Anything for him. If it's restocking the fridge at Carrington with sports drinks, I will take that. We'll send him to Coca-Cola. But I just don't see how we get Onana out the club. Potentially, here's a question for you guys. I love this actually now. I'm going to start doing this more often. After the show is finished, here is the question. I will pin it afterwards. Who is the worst goalkeeper? Andre Onana or Taibi? Who is the worst signing for Manchester United as a goalkeeper? That's going to be in the chat comments afterwards, okay? Don't give me your answer now in the chat. Don't go and start doing that. I want you to come back and give me the comments afterwards, guys. Come back and tell me who's worse. Taibi, Massimo Taibi, or Andre Onana? Because I'll tell you what, Taibi was horrendous as well. It depends how many of you can remember him. Now, here's the big one. This is where the money comes in. Well, there's two actual. There's one I'm going to talk about, and there's one I'm not going to talk about, but you're going to know who I'm talking about. And if you don't get what I mean by that, you really should. Let's start with Marcus Rashford, on loan Barcelona. Probably give him a 4 out of 10 at Barcelona. He has had some great moments. Champions League goals galore. It's what Rashford does, right? But Jesus Christ, he has missed some sitters in league games against easy oppositions. He's been dropped. He's come back in. He's turned a corner and then he's been dropped. I don't know what to do about him. We could get 70 million for him and we could get nothing and he just comes back on the roster next season. I'm not against bringing Rashford back. You clip this up. I'm not against bringing Rashford back because I feel Michael Carrick can handle him. But not knowing who the manager is next season makes Rashford coming back nigh on an impossibility. I don't know what other people's takes are on that. So, you're going to have to let me know. Let's just have a quick catch up with the chat, see what you're saying. God, Jesus Christ, guys. I'm having to keep scrolling. I'm not used to this. Hopefully, yeah, that one I'm going to come back on, Sean. I'm not going to clip up on it. You know which one I'm going because we've got the sell-on clause, which is 50%. I'm going to come back to that. Højlund would do well in this system. I agree. It feels like everyone else doesn't agree with us, though. Maybe that's our coaching experience talking and not so much of our fan bias. He'll be injured after pre-season, Sean, and no one will be able to buy him, and he'll be sitting on his arse next season again. Must have missed who that was. Danny? So maybe we'll see. Boxing came in with his free. Boxing, we need more than just midfielders, but Wharton, Anderson, Tonali, I get it. You're literally the majority have all said that across all three platforms on Friday. Danny need to get his agent to the shop to shop him around now before that happens. Yeah, totally agree. Rasmus should be forgotten. Okay, Bilal. If you can elaborate on that, I'd love to know why. Because if you look at the guy who's got a 25% conversion rate, I believe it's definitely in the 20s. In his career at Manchester United, to his shot percentage conversion rate is ridiculously high, which just said we didn't create enough chances. And in this system, that's what me and Sean think he would get. And so then we would fairly be able to judge him. But once bitten, twice shy. I get it. Who is the agent again? Ronald McDonald. I quite like that one. I'm happy with Rasmus at Napoli. He's not exactly setting the world alight at Napoli. But Napoli's not that kind of team either. Napoli is about him taking the defenders back, cutbacks, McTominay coming in for cutbacks, which, of course, we all know how McTominay's got on. But then I understand also that's the counter-argument that you're all going to give me. McTominay wasn't great for United, but he's doing great at Napoli. Rasmus has gone to Napoli, and we're saying he's doing well. Okay, not setting the world alight, but it's a different league. I get it. Rasmus will end up in the MLS. I'm not sure about that. Isn't Sancho's contract up at the end of the season? I thought we may have hit the +1. I will have to look into that. So I will type something in a second. Onana is shite. Cash will go back to Sao Paulo. That's not the rumours, Bilal. The rumours are he's going to MLS. And the reason being is the amount of time he spends in Miami. And I think the rest of his family, he may have moved out of Brazil to Florida. And that might be why, when you think we get the international break, he's always in Florida. Potentially Miami. So I can understand it, but like I say, you can't believe everything you hear around transfers, especially when they're Man United. Danny, the idea is to leave it in the comments after. I know you're probably listening. Comments after, not now. So put that in the comments for me after as well. Bilal says, don't remember the Italian goalkeeper. Look him up. Massimo Taibi. Say it. Don't try and type it because I cannot spell it. Onana is the worst keeper I've ever seen in the Premier League. What about the one at Liverpool? That's all I'm going to say. He is crap, Rasmus. Okay, so pretty much sure most of you aren't having Rasmus, but that's what I love. I see him one way, you see him another, and you know what? Fair play. The chances are there's more of you seeing him as a crap player than me thinking he could still do something, and that's fair. Danny's come back. Yeah, Sancho's out of contract. Great, so he's gone. But it's a shame because we're not going to get any money, and you know that means there is a good chance he goes somewhere and performs, and that would be a shame. Now, I spoke about Rashford, and the reason I went back through the chat because I saw the name of the player jump up. I've decided not to talk about players that have had police involvement on my channel currently. Okay, whether that changes over time, maybe. There may be scenarios where I have to. But if you don't know who I'm talking about, I'm just going to talk about a player in France that is an ex-Man United player who we have a 50% sell-on clause, who the rumours are could be going for anywhere between 70 to 100 million euros to another club. Okay. One of the top goal scorers in France. One of the most talented footballers we produced. One of the most stupidest footballers we produced. People make mistakes, okay? That's all I'm going to say on it. But 50% sell-on could bring us half a player. One player out or sold on could bring us half a player back to this in the players. So that's the one we really need. There was a Rashford, a 50% sell-on, and then everything else could buy us our third signing. And on that third signing, I said to you, I would go Anderson and Hall. Wharton would be my third. I would go all English. I think we went all foreigners for last year in the summer, and we go all English this summer. 3 in last year. Well, 4 in last year. Always forget about Lemons in goal because he came in last. We bring him in, and then we start looking at those. Remember what I said at the start, the 3 players, keep them in the back of your head. Are there some free transfers we can bring in to bolster up? Maybe bring in 2 and bring that up towards 5. Can we get up to 6 with a cheap deal, depending on sales? But what we need to do as a club is make sure that these players know they're not wanted. They know they need to leave. Now, the world has changed. That is not easy to do, okay? Players are paid too much money, happy to sit there on their money, on their PlayStation, Xbox, whatever at home, not turn up for training because they know they're not going to play. Whatever it is, you can't force them out your club. You can't cancel their contract. You can't. If me and you guys turned up to work and we said, guys, you're not doing your job. You've been out injured all this time. I need to replace you with someone else because I can't trust you. You can't turn around and go, yeah, I'm under contract, I'm staying. They go, no, you've frustrated your contract because you're making it impossible for us to work. You can think about taking me to court. We'll give you a small payoff and please leave. Okay. Now, there's a few players who might fall into that bracket. Malacia and Mason Mount. And the third one, I'm going to say it, and this isn't for clickbait, this is honest opinion. De Ligt. I feel there's 3 people there you've potentially got to think about cancelling their contracts. Malacia was stupid, didn't listen. Agent, family, whatever, thought they knew better, ends up with a double knee operation. It's never going to heal well after that. The guy is done. He's done at the top level, Premier League level. Whether he can play at a lower level, let him go. Please let him go. I have nothing but sympathy for him. After seeing him coming on and how it looked, it's as if he's a fan playing for Man United now rather than a Premier League footballer. So please let him go. Mason Mount. Mason Mount on his day up here. Mason Mount permanently on his back. Gives us 4 or 5 weeks and then back out injured. Says they're either lying to us about his injuries or I don't know what. But always on that bench. Probably more injured than Luke Shaw currently in his time at Man United as well. And if Luke Shaw's the standard we judge everyone against for injuries, bloody hell, like Mason Mount, I'm sorry, mate. You've got to think we can't have you, okay? And then De Ligt. The rumours are De Ligt's back is gone. It's done for. Now, I don't go on rumours, okay? I want to build a channel around not listening to media bias, not listening to that. But what I will say is, Bilal, you've said it for me. Back injuries are complex. There was something that came out, I believe it's just before Christmas, and there was a mention of him having just a spot or something, and the sack had pressed on a nerve in his back. Now, I don't know if that's a bullshit story, right? But we do know is this guy's been out with a back injury now. It's been confirmed. He's had multiple injuries that all linked to the same area of the back throughout his career. The only time he was fit was at Ajax constantly. Went to Juventus, went to Bayern, now at us. Both injuries in the lower back that have problems with, all ligaments going through your butt, down your hamstrings and your thighs, okay? I'm not going to go into each muscle group and everything like that because I can't remember them half the time. But maybe if we're going forward, he has to go. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. I think he's got so much to give. He's still young. He's a natural leader. But it has to be said, if we're building for the summer, it's something we really, really need to make a decision on. And it can't be a maybe. It's got to be a yes or a no on him specifically. And Malacia, like I say, if it was an injured animal, you'd put it down. And that's how I feel like Malacia is. You've got to let him go. Now, when I talk about Malacia, there's a name that is linked with us currently, which I think is pie in the sky. I don't think will happen. I think is a disgruntled employee. It's the kind of link that fits modern sort of recruitment model. Young, high ceiling, flexible, and seen as a player, you grows into a bigger role. Anyone know what I'm talking about? The problem is these deals are never simple when they play at a highly rated club already. Interesting link, but one still feels like a tier below the strongest names. Is what I wrote. I really like Lewis Hall. He is my number one. But Miles Lewis-Skelly, I call bullshit before we go any further. But it's an interesting name. It's a very, very interesting name. Can invert, can play as a defensive midfielder where he prefers to play. But the rumours are the falling out is over. He doesn't want to play left back. He wants to play in midfield. They don't see him as a midfielder, which I can understand when you have Rice and Subamendi. And they want him to play left back. Do we want someone like that at the club? Versatile? Yes. Disgruntled? No. So that's a weird one. Now, Sean, I hope you're still here. If not, please let me know after the video. I've done some research on the next 3 players. And yeah, it ain't great. I'm going to be honest. So Samuel Dahl feels like one of the softer links that someone chucked up on X, I think it was. I didn't put down which one it was. X or Twitter, I know that. It's not on here. Player who fits the need on paper, especially in terms of left-sided. There's a lot of depth, gets up and down. But not one where the noise feels as strong as sort of like the top targets. But again, how many people know him? He's not that well known. I had to look him up. Then I realised who it was. So that says a lot about the name. But I sort of like that because it's not. I'm not all about the name. Can he do the job? Can he get up and down? Is he coachable? Can he learn? Can he grow? How much is he? That's the one there. Worth keeping an eye on, but one I would put as headlines rather than anything now. The next one, and I'm going to butcher this, so get your clips ready, guys. And Ayubu Boudadi, Bouaddi. It's a great name. And it's one I would love to see in the Premier League for, the pundits, Champions League, everything like that. Go on, pronounce his name. And he'll just be referred to as number, whatever he's given. Future-facing link, talented, exciting, and the kind of midfielder that clubs monitor. But He's lesser known, which is fine because that means we can get him cheap. Again, we talked about, can we get someone in cheap to help boost to that midfield? But if United are serious about rebuilding right now, it's how cheap we can get him to whether we would go for him. You wouldn't think he'd do. Yeah, yes, Danny, that's the one. You wouldn't think he'd make an immediate impact, but he's got a good profile. But again, he's the kind of midfielder I would buy and loan back out, but I'd only want to pay no more than 20 mil for him, just so I know I can get him back. So it's a weird one. But again, when I had to look him up, the only place I could really see that we were being linked with him was Silent U on the Boo. Boo Addy. He's a Sky Sports one. You know, it's one of those where they're just maybe talking with agents rather than anything. Same as this last one, the third one. Danny says top prospect, talking 50 mil. I'm not paying any more than 20 for him because there's no one in for him currently. If you look, there's no one big in for him. There might be a lot of clubs in for him that are down. Maybe the bottom half of the Premier League would take. Okay. Sometimes I feel I talk and I don't explain myself as perfect. So you guys need to call me out on that. If we were to buy João Gomes, would Wolves go and buy him? That's the way I sort of look at it. Because the kind of team I could see taking a risk on him is a Wolves, is a bottom half, relegation fodder Premier League side. But if we're buying their player, would we be better taking the risk? Because I feel buying from them would be a risk as well. So that's the way I sort of see him. Christos Mukinitis. Again, cannot pronounce it when it's Kitis. I'm calling it Musinitis. Very Greek. Love it. Similar category, talented, promising, and the kind of name that sort of suggests scouting work, right? It's being done in the right areas. We want hot prospects for the future. Fans will naturally ask whether a player like this is one for the first team, rebuild, or long-term project. So basically, I'm putting him in the same category as the other one. And it's interesting. But again, if you can get him for under 20 million and he can boost to that midfield as someone else coming in, maybe. You've got to remember, we are looking at one of the highest targets being Baleba. Baleba came in cheap. Brighton buy cheap, and then we want to buy their players. So it is possible, guys, for these players. I know I'm saying names. Fucking hell, I'm paying that. I want to go buy Premier League proven. But then we go and buy one season wonders from a Brighton, from a Palace, and that's not Wharton, I'm saying one season wonder. I'm just saying that sort of mid-table where they can gamble. But if we take that gamble, it jumps from 4 million to 100 million, So it's just something I don't like, but obviously we have to always keep an eye on it. Okay. So that pretty much covers everyone I came across. Okay. I'm going to say we got to get our sales right. Maybe we can get 4 signings, but I think 3 signings is the ballpark figure. Same summer as last year. We get a last minute one over the deal. It needs to be a backup player. It can't be a starter. But if we can get a Lewis Hall, if we can get an Anderson and a Wharton, and that's my preferred combination, that works for me. It works as Prem proven. It works as an English narrative, which Manchester United has always had. We've been built around British midfielders. I quite like that. Call me traditionalist, but I just feel that they definitely understand the power of Manchester United. There's leadership qualities there for the future. And they just tick a lot of boxes of the kind of profile players I like. So they're my 3. I can spend about 200 million and then buy the rest from sales. Danny says 5 to 6 in for 250 million is achievable. I don't feel it is, Danny. I feel everyone's going to want around 80 million for their players. And that's where the fourth one falls, is something. When you're Manchester United, don't forget you pay the extra tax, you pay the Premier League tax, you pay the British tax. And there's certain players, when it's midfielders, knowing we're replacing Casemiro, they're going to hold out. And if we're going for players that Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, want, that's going to push the price up. And we have to be prepared for a bidding war. So as long as we get those three, I'm happy if we can make the money go further. As long as we get those three in, I would be a 10 out of 10 window for just three players. Like I say, a Lewis Hall at left back. I feel my defence is complete with my goalkeeper. Can it be improved? Yes, but it's definitely solid. And it gives us cover down the left-hand side for a Dorgu and a Cunha to interchange in the left wing position. Anderson, Mainoo, and potentially a Wharton. Fucking great on paper. 3 English midfielders interchanging constantly, different combinations, 2 6s, 2 8s, whatever you need depending on the team. If you want to break down a low block, we can go more attacking. If we need to sit in, we can do that as well. And they have legs to a degree, maybe not quick enough. So that's where maybe a tweak in tactics needs to be done in how we attack and how we set up. And we would have a pre-season. Very small window, guys. Don't forget that for pre-season. World Cup holiday for any players in the World Cup. Back in, early start. Early start in the Premier League window. They're probably going to push it back a bit, but for me, that's great. So, guys, I'm going to put this up. This is Danny's take, and I really like this, Danny. I really like this. Wharton, Anderson, João Gomes, 200 million. De Ligt in for 20 to 30 million at left back. Surely only if West Ham go down. Otherwise, I don't see them allowing him short for 50. Really like that. Sessi in on a free. Totally agree. That's where I said about smart moves. I'm talking about the spending the money. Can we get players in on a free? Sessi, if we can stop him from going from what Sean said about potentially he can go into Juventus, great. Would you take try Canate, try a cheeky one for Canate? Why not? He's French. He probably wouldn't care. And a cheap young winger. I like that cheap young winger. There's a few around there, but I said I would just, before I finish this video off, because we've been going an hour and 20, I think that we have 3 great wingers in the youth, and they are currently pushing 21s, and they are, let me just see if I can get the right names. Obviously, we all know one of them, a little Scouser who got sent off. Oh, what's Boxing say? I think Anderson costs 90 million. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, why? Before we go into the youth, let me just catch up, make sure there's no... Because... down, I think... Yeah, Rio has a bad back. When he signed for QPR, he regretted it because his back is done. Yes, and boxing, if you now know about Rio... The guy could be in a wheelchair if the wind blows the wrong way. Do you know? It's that bad. When we got 50 is low side, he's probably goes for 60 for Buadi. Too much, I agree. Big risk, yeah. Prem proven players is what we need. See, that's where I think 5 to 6 Prem proven players. I don't see that working. I think Anderson costs 90 million. Right, yeah, guys. So I do totally agree with you on pretty much all those facts. That's why I said we keep those free transfers at the tip of, the back of your mind. So when you're thinking, I want this player, this player, this player, we need more players. How much do they cost? We have to go for this free transfer or that free transfer to bolster the squad. Just for 1 year, 1-2 year deal. Because don't forget, Free transfer tends to mean they're expired because they're getting older, but that brings experience. So if you can find the right kind of experience, Konate coming in with Eleni Euro, another French centre-back. Euro is currently under 21's captain. Konate, French international, potentially going to the World Cup, and yet going on a free transfer. So just obviously wants to out of Liverpool. Can't blame him. Andy Robertson, come on. That's an experience and a great guy to learn from. But I doubt we could bring him in and play him as a left back at Man United. So, wingers. So, I just wanted to pop something out there on X. Guys, like I say, we're getting to the end of the video now. For all of you, if you haven't been over and hit the like, please, please do. If you're on X, share the video, anything, pop in a comment. Much appreciated you all watching over there. So, guys, right now we have Shea Lacey. Obviously, he has stepped up and most people were aware of Shea Lacey. Very unpredictable, kind of left, right. I think we could play him on the left as an inverted, and I think he could do a job, okay? But Noah Ajayi and Victor Musa may be worth a gamble on one of them next season. Now, for you who don't necessarily know who they are, because you don't watch the youth, Victor Musa probably more of the go-to starting winger for the 21s. Noah Ajayi is more in the 18s, but plays for both. I mean, they are superb. Noah Ajayi is about 6'2", great with the ball at his feet, looks like a Vieira sort of size build, but runs with the ball like Ronaldo. And I kid you not, that's not me overcooking it. That's me talking about him as in the 18s. Victor Musa, quick, powerful. Again, more than happy just to keep throwing the ball in the box. So why not? Do you know what I mean? Why not have that gamble? They're the ones. There's Ethan Ennis as well. Not for me. And Mantato, you guys saw last season. I mean, he made a cameo and it wasn't a great cameo, but we weren't in a great place. But he's a right winger, which we obviously don't really necessarily need. Ethan Williams, I'm pretty sure he'll be gone at the end of the season, so I won't even mention him really, bar me saying his name just then. So there are youngsters out there who can come in. I really do think if you can watch YouTube now, Manchester United put the under-18 games on live, I do believe, on the Manchester United YouTube channel. So get over there, subscribe and follow that so you can watch these guys play, or at least watch it back in your own time and start to get to know some of these players. There was more in those under 21s and 18s than JJ Gabriel, Obi Martins, Shea Lacey, the Fletchers. There are more out there who its time is just not right for them. And let's just forget Kai Rooney at 15 as well. Okay. So let's just have a quick finish off with the chat. Vlahovic for free. It's definitely worth a gamble bringing him in. Like I say, I brought Rasmus back, but Vlahovic for free. If his wages aren't ridiculous, worth a shout. If Juice stays up with West Ham, cheap, save money, 20-30. Yeah, I think, do you not mean if he goes down with West Ham? If West Ham go down, he'll be cheap. Because he's not got long left. I think if they stay up, we can't get him out of the club, personally. But guys, absolutely great show. Now remember, get in the comments afterwards. Who is the worst goalkeeper? Andre Onana, Massimo Taibi. If you don't know who Massimo Taibi is, go look him up and watch him. All I'm going to say is tracksuit bottoms, nutmegs himself. But this has been a great show. You know, I really enjoyed tonight, guys. You've all given me so much sort of your takes, and that's what this channel's about. Okay, I can't say it enough, so I'm going to say it again. This channel is about your interactions. You have your say. We bring you up. Danny, Boxing, Bilal, Sean, Grace, all of them have had their say tonight in the chat. You know, a few others haven't turned up. They might be on a different show because other people are live at the same time. You know, that's the world I work in. You know, and Trevor's normally here. Who else am I missing? Jarvis is doing the show. There's plenty of names, but there's plenty of space for you to have your say. And all we're going to do is debate it. We are not going to call you out. We're not going to call you an idiot for suggesting a random name, okay? We're going to look into that random name and when we're going to discuss it. Maybe you think he works, maybe he doesn't. As Danny's saying here, I like Ndiaye. Shea Lacey, left-footed. Yeah, absolutely. Boxing. He plays on the left, he plays on the right. That boy, Lacey, makes Gakpo look shite. And on that bombshell, guys, we are out of here. I will catch you Tuesday night, 9 p.m. for the next show. Catch you later.